Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Journey Beyond podcast. I'm your host, Tim, and today I'm fired up to talk with you about a topic that is very dear to my heart. I thought about, what kind of solo episode I can put out for you on this beautiful Saturday. And I thought about actually, I'm turning this year 28, and over the last 10 years or close to 8 years, I've had a really wild ride. I've started in my entrepreneurial journey at the age of 19, and from the age of 19 until 25, 26, I was really heavily invested into different ventures. I tried myself out. I started becoming part of circles of entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs that were following similar visions than I was, and that were just fired up about life and just making a change in this world. And I thought about today's episode, and I narrowed it down to the three main takeaways, or the three main habits I developed for myself over the past 8 years, or in my 20s. Hence the title of this episode, that really made a difference for me, that built me as a person, that built the person who you're seeing in front of the camera today, that you see the person, that the Tim that you see with the charisma, the character, the identity that I've built for myself. And I felt like I really, really wanted to share these three little but super significant habits with you in today's episode. So, habit number one for us to dive right into it is actually tiny steps, big impact. Building your character through habits. So the first habit is all about understanding the power of habits. These aren't just routines, right? They are the building blocks of who we truly are. And the cool thing is, even small changes can lead to massive, massive results. I remember feeling overwhelmed when I first started reading about habits, right? It was one of the cornerstones when I started out as a young entrepreneur. I had absolutely, in German, you say green behind your ears. I had absolutely no plan of what I was doing. I was really clueless in life. I had no vision, I had no plan, I had really bad habits, a slightly bad environment around me, and I really wanted to change it, right? So I dove into the world of personal development. I started buying every single book I can get my hands on, right? From Dale Carnegie over to Charles Duhigg, over to James Clear, over to BJ Fogg, really wanting to learn about personal development and, most importantly, building habits, right? So here, from these four authors or three authors that I just mentioned, being BJ Fogg's with the book Tiny Habits, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and Charles Duhigg with his The Power of Habits. Those are really the three core books that I learned about, or that I read about. And here's what resonated most with me. Small wins mean big results. BJ Fogg taught me about the power of starting tiny. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight, right? It's not going to change from one day to the next. Focus on making small, manageable, tangible changes and stick with them. These tiny habits might seem insignificant at first, but over time, they can lead to remarkable transformations. Another book which added right onto that, because I read those books consecutively right behind each other, was actually The Compound Effect, not by Darren Hardy, which we talked already about in our episode with Michael, but The Compound Effect being again kind of dissected and reinterpreted by James Clear, who builds on this idea in his book Atomic Habits. The concept of the compound effect, right? Think of it as like a snowball rolling downhill. Every tiny positive habit that you add is like a little bit of snow on top of that snowball. At first, it might not seem like much, right? But if you if it keeps rolling, if you keep rolling with it, that snowball will become an unstoppable force. So here again, the compound effect is a like multilateral method or principle that you can adapt to your life to make changes in basically any area of your life. And another core was, for example, identity shifts. Habits aren't just about the actions, right? They're about becoming the person that you really want to become. James Clear talks in this book again about aligning your habits with your desired identity. Instead of saying, I want to run, Use words and sentences that confirm the bias or that confirm the state that you want to achieve. So instead of saying, I want to run, say, I am a runner. This shift in how you see yourself can be a super powerful motivator. It's about, programming your mind to be the person, to be the version of you that you are desiring to become. Because every negative inclination that you use, that I want to run more, right? I want to run more is a wish. Yes, it's a wish, but this wish at its base has a negative inclination, meaning that you are going from a basis that you are not a good runner. There, your mind will bring up resistances and barriers to make it even harder for you to start becoming a runner. So always start with a positive framework to name or to state your desired states or your desired outcomes. And here again, another point where in BJ Fogg's book and James Clear's book, both emphasize that environment matters. They say to design your world to make good habits easier and bad habits harder, meaning that you have to basically reinterpret your environment and see what is serving you and what is not serving you, and cleanse out, form your environment so that it suits you in actually maintaining or improving positive habits and building them from here forward. So, for example, if you want to exercise more, put your gym clothes next to your bed. Right? Very simple, but just this gets you into that state. It's already there, so I might just use it. Or for another example, if you want to read more, put your favorite book that you're currently reading that you want to read right next to your bed. This is what I did. So even if you might not want to read in the moment, you see it. You see the book and your brain gives you cues on saying, all right, you wanted to read that book, so why not grabbing it right now, or in the morning with your coffee, take it. There's a book, you want to read something, you just don't want to sit there and scroll on your phone. Take that book from right next to your bed, sit on the couch and start reading a little bit, right? Like little tweaks like this in your environment can make a huge difference. And lastly, for the habit number 1 of like building great habits is the ripple effect. So finally, Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habits, which is one of my favorite books, I would say, from these three, he introduced me to the concept of the ripple effect. These are habits like exercises, right, that have a ripple effect impacting other areas of your life. So start with the keystone and watch the positive changes flow throughout. A little example here would be, for me, going to the gym has had a massive ripple effect into all other areas of my life. Why? Because the discipline, the goals, the ambition, the sacrifices that I was willing to bring up in the gym, I was able to transform these main key points into any other area of my life. Let it be business, let it be my personal relationships, let it be my ambitions, my goals, let it be, my building strong values, right? I approached other areas of my life in the same way or in a similar way than I did in the gym. So this is the basis of the ripple effect. How you do anything is how you do everything. So, all right. So that's the power of habits now. That has been one of the starting blocks for me in my early 20s, and that really made a huge difference in my life. But now let's talk about the fuel that propels those habits. Discipline. Discipline has been, I have a very close relationship to discipline because I just considered myself a very undisciplined person in my younger years. So that has been a relationship that I had to invest in heavily, that I had to craft, that I had to work on a consistent basis to become the person that I am today. Right. By any means, if I'm saying becoming the person that I am today, I'm looking back at where I came from and I'm looking at where I am. Of course, I'm not where I want to be 100% yet, but looking back from time to time can lift some weight off of the big dreams that you have and, not approaching or not achieving them fast enough. So looking back from time to time helped me, for example, to realize like, yo, the person that you were 10 years ago is a completely different Tim than the person that you are today. Even the person that you were 5 years ago, even the person that you were 3 or 2 or even 1 year ago is not the same Tim anymore. So from time to time, that can help to alleviate a little bit of the stress and of the anxiety that comes with that, right? So habit number 2, discipline, the forge that shapes success. Discipline is maybe not the sexiest of the words, right? But let me tell you, it's the cornerstone of all achievements out there. This isn't about being uptight or living a life of misery. No, no, no. It's about having the willpower to do what needs to be done when it's tough or when it just needs to be done, right? In my journey, I've been inspired and I've been really listening to. I'm a big reader and I'm a big motivational video type of guy, inspirational video type of guy. Most of my content that I ingest or digest over a daily basis is based on either discipline, motivation, just characters that inspire me and that I aspire to become to a certain degree, right? People such as David Goggins, people such as Jocko Willink, but as well people such as Napoleon Hill, right? Because of his skills and his the resources that he built. Like Napoleon Hill was one of my first books that I ever read, Think and Grow Rich, right? He had to go out there and interview the richest and most successful, most resourceful people at that time in the 1920s and ask them about their secret to success. Hence where the entire concept of the law of attraction came from, right? One of the concepts from the 3 that I've just mentioned that I want to start with is actually from David Goggins. Me and Michael Imputu, if you remember one of the first episodes that we did, we talked about embracing the suck. This concept is so beautiful. In his book, Can't Hurt Me, which I highly recommend to anyone, and even more if you are more of an auditive guy, I personally believe that the book Can't Hurt Me from David Goggins is 1,000-fold better and more effective when you listen to it as an audiobook. Why? Because you have David Goggins narrating it, and it's just one of my favorite books because he, in his voice, in his character, narrating his own story, and from time to time taking little side notes and just being like, "Hey, motherfucker, go out there, go get it. What you waiting for?" Right? These kind of aspects I love, and they are just a great motivator when you're feeling down or you're feeling like you don't want to do shit. Right? So David Goggins in his book Can't Hurt Me talks about using adversity and discomfort as a tool or as tools for growth. So he pushes the idea that stepping outside of your comfort zone and embracing challenges is how you truly build resilience. And it's about facing that voice in your head telling you to quit and saying, "Bring it on, baby." Right? So knowing that life is not easy, knowing that if you're born into, or not even if you're born into, right? Life in any circumstance is hard. It's tough. It's not easy. Of course, you have sunny days. Of course, you have moments where life feels incredibly beautiful, but those are most of the time the result of really hard and really shitty days that you had to conquer, that you had to push through, and that you simply had to just embrace the suck of being in this misery, right? And who agrees, like, for people living in Luxembourg, because I'm from Luxembourg, right? People living in Luxembourg, they understand that. Winters here are bloody damn brutal. So embracing the suck here in winter, that's the true lesson. So when actually finally the sun comes out in May, like after 7 months of misery, you're like, wow, okay, this feels amazing because you've been through it, you've worked through it, you just grinded through that pain and that suffering, and it feels good. So this embracing the suck kind of principle was the first that I wanted to tackle here, right? And so routine and consistency is something that I highly attribute to Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink, ex-military commander in staff, and just an incredible person from his leadership perspective, who led a couple of tours through Iraq and wrote incredible books on leadership and mental resilience. He's all about routine and consistency. So he advocates for building strong daily schedule and sticking to that strong daily schedule. It's the small, consistent actions day in and day out that lead to big results. Consistency or discipline equals freedom is a great book from Jocko Willink and a great quote from Jocko Willink, because discipline, if you're being a disciplined person, right, you're building your habits, you're building your foundation, you're crafting your environment. All of these habits are worth nothing if you have no discipline in your life. So discipline equals freedom, but only if the right habits over a long period of time, over years and years and years, are being crafted into a version of you that can have anything, be anything, and do anything it wants to be, do, and have, right? So discipline without the right action plan is worth nothing. Discipline with the right action plan equals freedom. And Napoleon Hill, as I've mentioned before in his book, Think and Grow Rich, he talks about having a definite purpose, right? Just what I said before, a definite plan, a roadmap to where you want to head to, a clear vision for what you want to achieve in your life. Discipline is the key to turning that vision into reality. It's about working hard towards your goals consistently, no matter what obstacle is in the way. And lastly, to building that mental toughness. Discipline isn't just about physical action, right? It's also about mental toughness. So here, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, and Napoleon Hill all share a similar vision that it's about taking full responsibility of your life and of the actions, habits, words, thoughts that you form in your life. Taking full responsibility is actually helping you to build a certain level of mental resilience that you need to overcome the storms. Taking full responsibility of your life and of your actions is what you need in order to get anything done in this life. So this to habit number 2, discipline. So we've explored now the habits or the power of habits, right? And the importance of discipline. Now let's talk about the missing piece of the puzzle. The ability to truly listen. Communication. I don't know how many times I've mentioned it over the last episodes, but I love communication. For me, communication has been one of the first skills next to building strong habits and, getting my mind straight, getting straight with where I wanted to go, is being able to communicate with myself more efficiently and more resourcefully, most importantly, because your brain produces a new thought every 7 to 9 seconds. And 85% of these thoughts are negative, right? So if you imagine now sitting there for 1 minute, you already have, let's say, 8 to 10 different thoughts popping into your mind. 85% of them, so 6 to 8 of these thoughts are negative. So what if take these now, not over a minute, not over an hour, not over 6, 12 hours, but take these over an entire day. Think how many thoughts you're thinking. Think how many of them are negative. So if you are letting yourself being led by those negative thoughts, you will not get anything done. You would much rather stay on the couch than going to the gym and working out. You would much rather grab the pack of crisps than that healthy protein shake right next to it. You would much rather indulge into negative, destructive habits if it would not be for the right habits, the right disciplines, and the way that you communicate with yourself. So habit number 3 that I've learned in my early 20s is the art of listening, building stronger connections with yourself and with others out there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. Being a strong and successful person isn't just about crushing gold and building muscles, right? I'm big in the gym. It's not only about that. It's about building strong relationships. And the foundations to any good relationship, effective communication. But here's the secret that most people are missing out. Communication doesn't start with speaking. It starts with listening. It's not just hearing the words someone say, but it's truly listen to the intent and trying to understand what your opposite is trying to say. Here's where some communication giants come in. some people that I started to dig into. One of my most read books, and I would say all-time greatest books, is from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But as well, NLP masters such as Tony Robbins, or scientists and communication experts like Daniel Kahneman shaped my way of um, learning how to communicate more effectively and listen closer to what other people are saying. The magic about listening closely to what other people are saying, what other people are truly saying, is most people, when they are having a conversation with someone, they are listening to respond. They are not listening to truly understand what the other person is saying. Because if you would be listening to truly understand the intent, what the other person in front of you is trying to say, what he's trying to, convey over to you, you would not only notice the words he's using, you would, if you really listen closely, and it takes some training and some skills, obviously, but you would catch on many other little things around that would help you to build more rapport, to build a better relationship, and maybe even being able to help people more resourcefully and truly. So, active listening is the key to rapport, to building good and strong rapport, right? So, Dale Carnegie, in his timeless book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, emphasizes the importance of showing genuine interest in others. It's not about waiting for your turn to speak, right? But it's about truly paying attention to what the other person is trying to say. By asking thoughtful questions and giving them your full attention, you build rapport and trust. Tony Robbins calls it, like I said before, listen to understand, not to respond. So he teaches that effective communication starts with listening to understand and not just to respond. This means putting yourself in the other person's perspective, in the other person's shoes, and trying to see the world from their perspective. When you can do this, communication becomes a bridge, not a barrier. And another thing that you learn once you truly pay attention to what the person in front of you is trying to say, you are not only learning to become a better communicator, you're not only learning how to build rapport with anyone, anywhere, at any time, in any given circumstances and situation, but as well, you'll learn how to pick up on essential body language cues, which can help you to understand the difference between verbal and nonverbal communication, what the person is saying and what the person is really trying to say. And active listening plays an important part in it. Because if someone now, for example, is, I mean, for those who of you are listening right now, right, I'm giving a little example for those of you who are watching. Just pay close attention to how my body language, what my body language is trying to tell you, and what my words are truly saying. So for those listening, I'm giving a little description. So imagine now the person in front of you, you're meeting up with a friend, with your girlfriend, with your partner, with your spouse, family member, whatsoever, and he sits in front of you, or she sits in front of you with his shoulders being completely down, right? With his head being a little bit tilted forward and looking down. And you can just see in his face or in her face that, the entire gravity is pulling the face of that person down, right? His hands are sitting lump on his leg or on the table, right? And he just sits there without any true energy or lust or happiness, joy floating from him, right? So if you have that picture in front of you right now, or in your mind right now, of a person who's sitting with you in front of you with, kind of like plunged down shoulders, head kind of tilted forward, a curved back, right? Really someone who sits there like a wet lump of rice. And that person is saying to you right now, yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing incredibly good. I'm super happy. And yeah, I'm having a blast of a day today. Yes, what somebody is saying is in this case not entirely true and not directly reflecting of what his true state is trying to tell you, right? And this is where true active listening comes in, because if you can identify the differences in verbal and nonverbal communication, in your gesticulation cues and the words that a person is using, the tonality, the syntax, the way the pace of his the pace of that he's using, the force, because someone who is really disappointed, he would most likely, have a very crisp voice, kind of shaky a little bit, and just slow overall, right? It's like, man, I'm not having a good day. I'm not feeling well. I don't know. It's just not my day, right? Someone who is on the other side really angry. Oh man, he raises his voice, right? He like builds himself up. He's like, oh man, this guy at work, man, I absolutely hate him. I despise him, man. I would love to just punch him in the face, right? You hear the difference. And now, for example, somebody who's happy, he would be like, oh man, I just had the best day ever. I don't know what's happening currently, but I'm just feeling a blast out there. Right? This exercise right now, this example is much easier when you actually listen, or when you're actually watching me, which you can basically do over my YouTube channel, right? But if you're watching me right now, it was much easier to detect somebody who's in a sad state, in an angry state, or actually in a happy state. Your physiology changes. And truly being able to listen and pay attention to those cues can help you make all of the difference. Build great empathy towards other people. Again, helps you to close business deals, helps you to find the right partner in your life, helps you to being actually able to help your friends better and more effectively. There are so many benefits to learning how communication properly works. And again, this is what I said in a couple of episodes ago. This is something that I want to convey in this podcast as well. It's because I love communication. I'm working towards becoming a communication expert. I'm an NLP coach, right? So I work with verbal and nonverbal cues and being able to help my clients getting from point A to point B in their life with very specific tools that can help you to change your life to the better, to change your beliefs. You're building up your values, setting goals, getting rid of negative habits, getting rid of negative thoughts out of your mind, right? But back to the topic. So these are the 3 habits that I learned in my early 20s that helped to build the person that I am today. It helped me to become a much better son to my mother, a much better friend to my friends, to my closest friends. It helped me to become a much, much better partner to my girlfriend, right? All of these things helped me in the making, building strong habits, daily reading, daily going to the gym, some form of mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical activity that helps me to become 1% better. Discipline, doing the things that I promised myself that I would do, doing the things that I need to do because I know the future version of me deserves me doing this work right now, because otherwise it's never going to happen, right? And on the other hand side, active listening, being able to build much more meaningful and beautiful, loving relationships, in this world, in this life, because this is what we're all about, right? We're not here to be, sitting in our room alone for the rest of our life. No, we're here to enjoy this journey. We're here to enjoy this experience, because we might only get this single experience. So why not making the best out of it, right? So here you have it, right? 3 habits that have been instrumental in shaping me into the man or the person that I am today. Building powerful habits, embracing discipline, and truly listening to others. So by incorporating these habits into your life, you can build a solid foundation for success in all areas of your life, right? Your career, your relationships, and your overall well-being. Remember, becoming the person you want to be is a journey and not a destination. I've said it so many times, fellas. It's a journey. It's the journey beyond the ordinary, right? There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, there will be moments of doubts. But by embracing these habits, you will develop the character, the charisma, the resilience to overcome any challenge life throws your way. So if you found these insights valuable, Don't forget to subscribe to the Journey Beyond podcast on YouTube. If you're a more of a video type person, I'm uploading every single Saturday a new episode on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and any listening device, any listening software that you use to ingest these beautiful podcasts out here, right? So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe. You can follow my journey. I'm posting a couple of clips and snippets on my Instagram channel, The Journey Beyond Podcast, right? And join the community. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'm always open for great conversations, for listening actively, and for being able to share what I've walked, like being able to share some steps that I've walked on my path so far. So with this being said, everyone, thank you for tuning in on this beautiful Saturday. Thank you all for being there. Thank you for just being you. I love you. Thank you all for listening. Take care and peace out.